Okay, well, I'm going to try to make this as brief as possible and without being too negative towards the type of ideas and beliefs that I'm trying to cover here, and I want to do this in a way that's fair. So I'm going to start off with a brief history of why I'm making this video. I'm in the middle of watching a show that was on Netflix. I don't remember what it was called. It's about aliens on the moon, okay? And I don't even know why I turned it on, because I knew what to expect the minute I turned it on. And I started realizing my skeptical nature has gone from being the kind of person who believes in all these cover-ups, that NASA hides everything, and to being a little more wary in my older years, and especially over the last 10 years. For example, it was easy for me to get suckered into Ancient Aliens when it first came out. I thought, these are awesome. Wow, they're showing, stuff I didn't know existed. They're showing these, supposedly these mined mountains and this real evidence, quote, evidence, And so then I had to do my own research. Lo and behold, I was disappointed. About 99% of it turned out to be bogus. These mountaintops that they claimed were excavated were really just mesas. Many of the translations, such as Zecharia Sitchin and the whole Anunnaki, has been disproven, yet there are still people believing it. But I want people to know, first off, I have been a conspiracy buff all my life. And when I was younger, I'd say in about 96, 97, I got into the whole moon landing hoax conspiracy thing, and started researching all these photographs that claimed to be, airbrushed, and I bought into it for a long time, and I still believe that NASA has been hiding evidence of extraterrestrials, and I also still believe that they are visiting or have visited us, and perhaps they have bases on the backside of the moon. That being said, the show that I just watched is pathetic, and it's what inspired me to make this was the pathetic truther movement out there that is, I won't say the truther movement, that's not fair. What I mean is Hollywood's pathetic attempt to buy into the truther movement, to sell these theories and ideas. And I'm halfway through the show and I can't even finish watching it. They're having interviews with an astronaut who went to the moon, yet claims he never even saw aliens. They're just interviewing him because he says he believes in them. I'm like, who cares if he's an astronaut or a fucking garbage man? It doesn't matter what he believes if he hasn't seen him, he hasn't seen him, It shouldn't matter that he's an astronaut. And they're using the idea that, because he's so into science, But, so they're going through and they're showing all these pictures of these supposed structures on the moon. And like this one area, and this is what really gets me, a lot of these people who they interview, why are they always these eccentric weirdos? And I don't mean that offensively, everybody's eccentric and a little different, but you don't see any people interviewed that are just, real scientists. Yet they keep repeating, oh, the experts say that it could be alien bases, and it could be this. The experts say, and you're like, who are these experts, right? It's a biased show, and it's obviously aimed towards people who want to believe that stuff, which is fine. But it should declare itself as such, because what it's doing is making people like me and you, who are actually seeking the truth, look like a bunch of idiots. So while a person may say, hey, why are you harping on this thing? At least they're trying to expose the truth. I feel the same way about things like David Icke. Like, so what if you're exposing some truth, if it's laced with a bunch of bullshit and lies? And the pictures that they're showing are just ludicrous. They're saying that they're these giant bridges. They look obviously, I want to believe, okay? I used to love X-Files, and I remember that. I want to believe, that poster he had on his wall. And I do. I really do. And I do believe in aliens. But when you're using pathetic evidence to try to prove it, it's no good. So maybe 1 out of 5 of these pictures has something to it, and the rest of them are just fodder to filler, and it's like, why waste our time? Because people are going to look through this and say, well, if 4 out of 5 of it are bogus, the 5th one must be too. What I would like to see is a show where they cover all the truth about it, about, UFOs, without the mystical bullshit music in the background and the And the experts say, and ancient alien enthusiasts say or claim this could be true. So this is coming from a guy who believes in my heart that a lot of this stuff is real. And I want to know what's real and what's true. Let me give you an example of the opening of this show. They talked about this area where and the pictures are really bad. I mean, they're low resolution. But what they're claiming they're seeing is this turret coming out of this hillside, and they call it the castle wall. And then they see this crater with this little cylindrical thing coming up out of it, which is like miles high. And supposedly this long thing that they call the cannon is like a couple miles long too. And then a ways away, there's this thing they call the satellite dish. And yeah, it looks like a satellite dish. Yes, the thing looks like maybe a turret. And yes, the crater looks definitely, like it could be a satellite dish. They turned out that they're saying it's like miles and miles wide. And so they're showing details of the picture, and this is the structure. And then they have this interview with this guy, and he says, if you see something on the moon that looks like it represents something on the Earth, then it's obvious it must be. And it reminds me of that Giorgio Tsoukalos guy from Ancient Aliens. He says the same thing. If there's half man, half animal carvings on the walls in Egypt, why are they there? Because these creatures actually existed. I mean, that's exactly how he says it. People are like, yeah. And this guy's like saying that these mile wide, 5 mile, 10 mile wide satellite dish that's focused supposedly that's watching the Earth. Maybe, maybe not. And then this cannon that they're claiming in the show was possibly it's possibly a gun to defend this thing sticking up, which they claim was a nuclear power plant. So here we are, humans in our pathetic little, the last few centuries, we've come up with what? Big guns, nuclear power plants, satellite dishes. So we just assumed that these ancient alien races are going to build these same things that we created on the moon. These creatures that may feed on plasma, for their ships. They're saying it in the same show, and then they're saying, they have these nuclear power plants on the moon, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, how pathetic does it sound when you're like, on one hand saying these they're these ancient civilizations that have learned how to, change and transmute substances, and they can fly through the air, but they need our gold from our Earth for their atmosphere. And once again, we ascribe gold, something of value to humans, something that we think, they would want. Satellite dishes, guns, and nuclear power plants. I mean, and I'm just like, God, because I guess I'm as much of an expert on this stuff as anybody else. I just never talk about it because I researched this shit extensively for years about, the Greys and the Anunnaki, and this is why I'm so humdrum about it, just calling BS on stuff like that all the time. It's not because it's something weird that I don't understand. It's because it's something that I understood, believed, and then realized was mostly bullshit. And it's heartbreaking because we really want a lot of this to be true. It'd be fun to be able to say this is an ancient alien site. But when you have people saying, looking at the pyramids, this is the ultimate metaphor, wow, they're big, they must have been built by aliens because humans could never have done this. It's a way of saying that since we don't understand, we're going to ascribe it to something else. Just like, since we don't understand the universe, God must have made it, and that we have ideas of what we think is real, but we really have no proof or evidence, and most of these alien shows are really ruining it for the people who are interested in this stuff, who have looked at the evidence and said, wow, some of this is really moving. I believe if they put together a 1-hour show where they put together the best evidence on all different, alien-related things, just the best stuff, the real stuff, the stuff that looks convincing, that might have weight, then we might be able to get people to look at it and say, wow, maybe that's true. I'm just still shocked people don't believe in aliens. I'm still shocked that people have to say that they think we're alone in the universe. I mean, most people I meet do believe that there's probably alien life out there. And I even know people who claim to, associate with them You know, that kind of stuff. Maybe, maybe not. It doesn't matter. The point being that the people, if we expect anybody to really believe or listen to any of us, about anything, then we have to stop making shit up for TV. So, it's a pretty weak documentary, if you want to call it that. It's not even a documentary. But kind of got me going, because when I see things like that, it's like in my heart I really want to think, all right, that's good evidence, but it's not. It's weak, and that's the price you pay to be honest with yourself. Because I've been grabbed by it and said, yes, it must be true, and if you don't believe it, you're just blind. I've been one of those people who call people sheeple, and so. This is why I'm so, reserved about religion, is because religion is the exact same way for me. It's a perfect metaphor for that if you see enough connections and you want to believe something strong enough, you're going to assume that everybody else that doesn't believe it is wrong. And that's why I'm careful not to believe anything, for sure, except for the fact that I'm alive, and I think, therefore I am, and yada, yada, yada. So, whatever, people can think what they want, and they can assume that I'm maybe being negative, but I'm really not. I'm just trying to say that I think that we'd be better off if we started calling people on their BS when they're making stuff up. I've done it to a lot of these truthers on YouTube, and I always get these people saying I'm a hater, I'm an agent, I'm a shill, and the truth is I'm just a guy that wants to see the truth. I'm like, where's your evidence? Show me the money. Come on, we live in a day and age where you should be able to express yourself and say, bullshit, show me, and they should be able to show you. And if they can't, then they should say, this is just my opinion, but people can't do that. People have to say, this is fact, and if you can't accept it, you're just asleep. So if people stop using words like asleep and sheeple, this is why I moved away from the truther community. Because I am a truther in my own way, but I realize what it means to be an actual truther. It means that you're trying to tell other people what the truth is. And if you don't know, you don't know. And we don't know. We'll never know if all these photoshopped, we won't know if NASA airbrushed out a particular photo, or if somebody later on who was obsessed with aliens airbrushed in some stuff to the photo. You see what I mean? These old photographs are what they're going on, and so I believe that some of it's true. I believe that the astronauts probably saw some things on the moon, and some weird things have been going on up in space above the Earth. I'm sure there were probably ancient cultures who had high civilizations, high technology. Whether they lived here or they came here, I don't know. And but as for the actual evidence people are putting forth, if you don't have it, you don't have it. And that's just how it is. So people are either going to believe or they're not. But if we want to get people to believe, we got to stop throwing in crap that we know is bogus. So those are my opinions, and that's my 2 pennies. Peace.